Hello everyone, my name is Todd and I'm here with Glover Nursery and we're going to be talking about amendments that we can use in our soils. The first thing we're going to talk about is things that will help with drainage. And so what we're going to first talk about is perlite. So this is a perlite that we sell here in a 8 quart bag. And perlite is pretty much like a very light rock, we'll say, and you mix it in with your soils and it helps with the drainage because it adds more air in your soil. It doesn't compact as easily and things like that. And so that's a very popular one that a lot of people use, especially if you have like really heavy clay soils in your garden. You can kind of mix that in to lighten it up. So it does, but it won't hold the moisture as well. So then it'll dry out faster. So something you need to be aware of. But there are a few other things that you can look into. Something similar to perlite is PMus. They're usually a little bit bigger. Usually for like big gardens, you don't want to use this, but if you're doing like pots or smaller things, this could be an option to try to lighten up the soil. And then lastly, we have is something we call leca balls. Now, leca balls, they do actually absorb some water, so they also help with water retention, but it's also a very porous substance that will let drainage go through very well. So this is kind of a nice in-between. Again, pretty much what leca balls are clay pellets that are round that absorb water, kind of like terracotta pots. So that's also an option, but again, it's more for a smaller scale, not for a big garden. Second, I want to talk about vermiculite. Vermiculite is also a very popular one. Vermiculite, like the previous section, will help with drainage, but vermiculite will also absorb a lot of moisture. So if you have sandy soils or soils that drain too well, then vermiculite might be a good option to try to help maintain that moisture. Next I want to talk about is our sphagnum peat moss and alternatives. Sphagnum peat moss has been in the industry and in gardeners for many years. It comes out of bogs and it is like the perfect material for a lot of things. It helps maintain moisture, it helps with dilution, with drainage, helps with acidity levels in your soil. So it's a really good option to use, and your gardens are always going to do well with it. The only problem with peat moss is that because it comes out of bogs, it is not a renewable resource. And so there is some concern there that we need to kind of diversify our options. And that's why we also sell cocoa coir, which is a renewable resource because it comes from coconuts. And it's the husks that they kind of blend up. Usually comes in these really compact bricks that you get wet and they expand. And it has a very similar reaction to or benefits of peat moss. So if you want to try to be a little bit more friendly to the environment, you could maybe switch over to cocoa coir. So that's also a really good option to try to get those same benefits. Okay. And lastly, I want to talk about is compost. This is one brand that we sell called Harvest Supreme that I really like, and I think it does really well. But organic matter in general is always a good amendment to put into your garden boxes or garden beds or garden plots. It's hard to have too much organic matter, so you can always put a lot of organic matter in there. A lot of organic matter does have chicken manure or steer manure in it. So if you get it from another source, make sure it's one that is broken down enough so it's not too hot of a compost that can affect the quality of your garden. We have a lot of different kind of composts here, but this is definitely one that I like a lot. So I hope you learned something from this short video about amendments for your soils. I'm always here at Glover Nursery to help you out if you have any further questions. Hope to see you around.